It's Friday morning at our camp out here in Oregon, and the night before last was pretty quiet. There really wasn't anything going on. But yesterday evening and last night there was quite a bit of stuff happening around camp here. And I had gone up this trail, or there's springs over here, and I'd sat on a bench back there and I said hello, and there were some whistles. And I thought it was from the people back here at the campsite, and I came back and they had thought it was me. Well, it wasn't very long after that. Susie was sitting here, and she looks right over here, and she sees a face looking at her. And we have Dan over there right now, and the two of them are going to recreate what it was that they saw. Let me zoom in a little so you can see Dan. Okay, wave again. There he is. Okay, so what did you see, Susie?
Okay, so where Dan is right now, he's a little bit too low. Dan, come up a little, right about there. But about 5 times bigger was a head. I could see down to the bridge of the nose, far bigger than what Dan is right now. He's in the exact same spot. And it was just sitting here, and it was like we were looking at each other. And then Robin and Dan walked into the field over behind us over here.
Back in
And
that
see how
direction.
Dan just moved? Yeah, you missed it. Dan, move your head and look like that. And that's when I said, that's not a stump. And obviously, because he's in the exact position, because I was thinking, okay, that's just a dark stump or whatever. But it was very dark, and then the facial features, it was like a darker gray, where you could see that it was definitely a face. And when it moved to look at them and what they were doing, that's when I'm like, okay, that was a face.
because you saw the head turn.
Far bigger than him.
Well, I came over and was trying to look in the same view that you were seeing. I didn't see the face, but I did see something black move. And at the time, it didn't occur to me that it was very large. But this morning when we got Dan over there in that spot and I looked, what I saw was considerably bigger than him.
And see how Dan is hunching over like that now? You can't see the bottom part of his body.
No,
And that was the
just
other part.
The face right between those leaves.
Yeah, that was the other part I was thinking, well, could it have been a stump? That's why I was staring at it for so long. But then when it moved its head, I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
And Dan's 6'2". Let's make note of that, or 6'1". Dan's a big guy. But what was over there was far bigger than that.
Wow. Okay, so now we're going to recreate what I saw. It was several hours later. When Susie saw that over there, it was still daylight. And what I saw was probably around midnight. There was, if it wasn't a full moon, it was darn close. And the woods were lit up fairly well. You know, there were some particularly bright patches back in there. But you could see pretty good. So I was sitting right over there about where Diane just put that chair, and Robin was sitting about where this green chair is. You know, she's looking that way. I'm looking back this way past her, and big tree there, something leans out, and then back in, just a black mass. And then a few minutes later, right over here between 2 trees, I see a tall, thin just black silhouette pass between the two trees. It blocked out the moonlight, but it was so fast, you know, and just a silhouette, so there were no details. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and recreate that now. That big tree right there where Dan just went. Okay, go ahead and lean out. Right there, I saw something lean out, except it was about twice as high as where I'm seeing his head right now. And it just popped its head out, leaned out, and right back again. Okay, so then I was sitting here about this spot when I saw something move out from behind the tree over here. Now I'm zoomed in so we can see this, but a few minutes later I saw something go from left to right between the 2 trees over here. Go ahead, Dan. Right there where Dan was. Now what I saw move was considerably taller and faster. Okay, while I was sitting about where Tom is last night, Robin was sitting right where I am. I'm looking behind her and seeing things over there, and she's watching the woods this way. And the moonlight had it pretty well lit up over there in the field, but underneath the trees, Robin saw something. What did you see?
Eyeshine. I saw eyeshine, but I saw movement before that.
You had been saying that something was moving over
around
there.
over there.
And you made a statement in particular.
Oh, yes. I said, I'm not, it was just an observation, but this trip so far has been an okay trip. It was nothing extraordinary or nothing. It would be, we would consider it at SIR as just a so-so trip, and what we would be expecting to see. It's minor things, but
I believe the word you used was mediocre.
yeah, sorry.
So what happened after you said that?
I got some Eyeshine right where Dan is standing.
Okay, I'm gonna zoom in now so we can see where Dan is. Okay, can you wave, Dan? It's for the camera. Yeah, we're having a hard time. Oh, okay, I got it there. We can see him. Okay, we can see him moving. Okay, so
Is there? Okay. I'll be there in a minute.
that's right where you saw the Eyeshine.
Yes. And
Okay.
He's saying there's some impressions and maybe
There's
a
some
track
prints
line.
over there.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
All right,
over.
all right. Well, let's go see what was over there
Yeah, I
then.
can see one right there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we were just sitting over there, looking this way, and we're gonna look at what looks
There may
like a
be one right
trackway.
Okay. Are you rolling?
I am.
Okay. Well, this is the first one I saw. The first impression I saw.
Let's see how big
Holy
it is.
cow! Yeah. My goodness, there's toes in that.
Yeah. This one's big. 17.
Well, I'm seeing it to here,
Okay.
so that would be.
Maybe this right here is deer.
Measure is going to be back here.
Yeah, that looks like a definite heel. I'm seeing
Okay.
right here
Okay.
to 13, which matches what you
that
saw
matches
over
that
there.
one.
Okay, and then right there, not really super good, but right here,
Yeah.
That almost looks like a handprint there.
Yeah.
Thumb and fingers.
Yeah, it does right there.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's much smaller.
Yep.
the best print, and it's actually that big. It's probably
Wow, that is a good one there.
Yeah.
Look at
Close to
the
here.
wood is pressed all the way down.
Yeah, it is.
The toes right
13
here.
inch.
Yeah, there's your 13.
That's a good one. Cool. 13 inches.
This is just really possible.
Yeah, but
not
there-
probable,
that's-
but
that's
that
an
looks
impression
like
right
an
here.
impression
Yeah,
right
it
there,
looks right
and
there.
another one right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, sure enough.
And that's
Very
as far as I
cool.
could see. I kind of looked out this way a little more.
Wait a minute.
But yeah, that's what I saw when I came
That's
over here
deer
to,
right here.
to represent your Eyeshine guy.
You did an excellent job of it, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool.
You know, if you get a sighting or eyeshine or a sound, investigate it tomorrow. Don't just sit there around the campfire talking about your awesome Sasquatch experience. Go try to find some corroborating evidence that shows that you really did have a Sasquatch experience.
Yep.
See, because
You know
this
what I
is
mean?
telling me what I saw happen.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So.
And another thing, you know, if it had just been one glimpse of something or one sound, you know, you could chalk it up to, well, it was just wildlife or, you know, a fluke. Your eyes are seeing something. But when you have all these different things that are going on around you, and there's other stuff that happened too, and you know, so it wasn't just these things that we're recreating. And there was a lot of other things going on that we're going to share too. So this is just kind of like the icing on the cake, having the footprints.
This is
13
absolutely-
inch ones. Let's
13
be
inches.
specific
Yeah,
here.
and that's another thing that they're uniform from one to the next. They're all basically the same size.
And you need to carry a measurement with you.
Exactly.
Walmart $2.48. That's all it costs in the sewing section.
Yes.
Or at the very least, in a pinch, know exactly how big your shoe is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I've found handy in the woods is finding a stick with bark on it, and I can mark with my thumbnail take the bark off, and then when I get back to the car I can measure.
And then there's another thing you can do if you use a walking stick. You add rubber bands to your walking stick, and that way
Oh,
you
yeah.
can use that, and you can mark them with the rubber bands, and then go back and measure it at that point
That's
if
a
you
great
want.
idea.
Yeah.
And then also that's a good way for trackways too. So
Right on.
And out.
Oh yeah, having a longer stick to measure in between.
Mhm.
Awesome. Cool. All right, well, let's go talk about everything else that happened last night. Here's sweet little Rue. She is such a good girl. Yeah. So,
She's actually perfect to take out because she's not.
well,
She's quiet.
You know, I had taken that plate of pasta and put it on the stump over there. And then later on, you know, I had done that while it was still light out. And then later on, we had done s'mores, and I had made a s'more to take and add to the plate. And you went over there with me. Well, when I first went over there and I put the plate on this really tall stump, I had said, you know, explained what it was and that it was for them and that I hope they enjoy it. And I turned around to walk away. And that's why I heard the whistles. Again, 3 whistles. And I came back over here and said, did anybody whistle? No, nobody had whistled. So then you went with me when we took the s'more over. And Rue had been there. And I think that was when I first noticed that Rue was stressed.
Very stressed.
Yeah. And then we had kind of stood right over here for a little bit. And she was continuously watching in the direction of that stump. And yeah. Poor girl. She's got her own little signs that she gives us when there's something around.
Yeah, she doesn't, if they get too close, she'll do her little woof like that. But last night, she was very stressed out. I've never seen her that low, except for a couple times at Rue's place. So.
Wow.
But last night, yeah, she was very stressed out. Very, very stressed out.
So the first night you were here, that was before I was here. What happened that may have stressed her out? What did you experience that night?
Well, we were sitting over there, and we were telling people that, you know, Roulette, she alerts us when they come close, and we were telling her when she acts scared and that, and suddenly she was looking back over here, and it seems like it's that area, and then next thing we know, she's climbing in John's lap and wanted to just stay there. And she normally doesn't do that unless they're around and that. Last time she climbed in John's lap and that, we had, it's when we had the rhythmic knocking and stuff going on and stuff. So she's definitely, she lets us know. I don't think she just gets stressed when they're around us, but when they get close is when that's when she climbs into our laps or
That's just a little too much for her. Huh?
Yeah, she don't like them too close.
Wow.
So.
Cool. Well, thank you, Rue. We appreciate all your hard work with this. Okay, so when people were slowly, you know, leaving the campsite last night to head off to their tents, you decided it was time for you to go to bed. What happened?
Well, I went over to the corner of the cabin. I thought, well, I will go in and go potty first. And when I got to the corner, I put my foot up on the step, and I heard something over there. It wasn't just a little rustle, it was rustling. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I won't go to bed right now. So I didn't even go into the cabin. I turned around and came back and sat down and said, I think I'll wait a while.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so I waited maybe 15, 20 minutes. I thought, okay, let's try it again. So then I went over to the cabin, went in and went potty, and then I went and got in my car and took it down to my campsite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's interesting not only from your perspective, but an hour or so later when we went to leave, it was John and Robin and I were the last 3 here, and I was in front of them, and I just stepped onto this little brick here, headed that way, and as soon as I turned that way, right off the corner of the cabin, right over there, something big took off.
Yeah.
So it may have been the same thing that you were hearing right
Somebody
over there.
was watching.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was being over by Diane's
By
area.
the bluer tent back
Yeah,
there?
so somewhere between here and there, that's where it came from, and it was a lot of scuffling, and it was, I was like, okay, well,
Just gonna wait.
we'll just wait a while.
All
I feel
right.
safer that way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, Tom is
Yeah.
sleeping on that side of the inside, just right under the windows on the far side, and he said he could hear them moving around outside that side of the building
Yeah.
during the night too.
Yeah.
And I did look on the corner over there. There's a few places where the weeds are matted down and there's some scuffs in the dirt, but you know, we can't rule out ourselves
Right.
or the dogs for that. So I didn't see
Right.
anything definitive that from movement
Yeah.
there last night, but there was definitely the sound of something large just took off around the corner as I turned to move in that direction.
Well, we know where everybody was last night.
Yeah.
It was all everybody was accounted for. They were either in the cabin sleeping or out here, including the dogs.
Yeah.
We knew where they were. So when I just stepped up there and I heard that, I was like, oh, well,
Well, I had another few experiences after I got into my tent last night. I try to make a habit of just sitting upright so I don't doze off and just sitting and listening. And I was going over the pictures that we had taken at Crater Lake yesterday, and I heard kind of a large thud outside my tent not long after I went in. And then there was a couple times, there were a few little things bounced off the tent, but that could have been just debris falling out of the trees. But then I'm sitting there and I smell the most awful gas smell, like a fart. It was very strong, very powerful. My whole tent was filled with the smell of it. And I'm sitting there thinking, that's not me. I did not do that. If I had done that, I'd have noticed. And it lingered in the tent for a good 5 minutes. And I was literally, waving my hand over my nose going, yeah, it was like, oh, holy smokes, who did what? But it eventually, after about 5 minutes, it faded away till the point where I couldn't smell it anymore. So it wasn't one of those things that hits you and then it's gone. It did linger.
Right. Tell me what you said to me this morning. Go ahead, Barb. She blamed that on me.
I
you
did
guys.
not. That's what you heard. That's what you heard. All I said was, there's no way that I could have smelled Sandy from my tent. And I only said that because your tent is the closest to my tent, and it's still at least 150 feet away. So I was only... that I was accusing.
What I heard, Barb, was you pooped. Sandy pooped over your tent and left it over here. Oh my God, that's what I
heard. No. See, big difference between what I said and what you heard.
I freshened up this morning.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Well, the only thing I heard when I went to bed was just some rustling behind the tent area, but it wasn't anything I could put my finger on. There were no thuds or anything, just rustling, and I have my tent backed up to these little trees. So I figured no one big could get between my tent and those trees.
You didn't feel particularly gassy when you went to bed.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What I heard.
I'm sorry.
That's funny.